your Malakapur?
We are continuing our look at Walt Simonson's, what would you call it, epic run on Thor
Yeah,
with Thor 342. Do
yeah, yeah.
you have a better word for it? Amazing,
I
masterful.
don't know. I don't have the vocabulary to describe it. Uh, how can I say overkill in a positive way? It's so much. There's so much in there.
Not since
I,
Stan and Jack, right?
this is the omnibus I'm reading from, and that's how much we've read, this little part. And we've got about like 90% left.
Wow. Wow, I love this stuff. I'm not sure if I want to have a 60-part series on what's Walt Simonson's Thor,
Yeah, I know. It's up to you. It's your show.
but I love that idea. So this is our rare issue in a way, 342. I so you see the background behind me.
Mhm.
It's an unusually, it's a piece of Thor original artwork. Now, let me show this because this came up in 2008 through this site Comic Link,
Mhm.
and they actually have just they had at least one page of Thor original art. Now, of course, Simonson kept all his pages from all his comics,
Mhm.
but this one page just somehow escaped. Maybe it came through Terry Austin, but I guess Austin apparently kept most of his artwork too. So
Mhm.
I have no idea how this got into the wild.
Interesting.
So this page sold for $4,300, which actually seems cheap to me,
Pretty cheap, yeah, with Thor in it, yeah.
considering how rare it is.
Given the fact that Simonson does not sell his pages, and it's Thor, it's an epic run. Yeah.
And I mean, this page has got lots of Thor image on it. He's not fighting, but you get a big fight scene, right?
But we have this. Here's the funny thing: they cut the boards. You see that on the bottom?
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Now that I look at it, maybe Terry Austin gave it to John Workman.
No, that's what it sounds like. All the best from your friend and fan Terry Austin. Just so it is. You're right. You have John's telephone number right there too.
His old landline from 1986. It's probably not available 35 years later.
Or is that
Probably not
Terry
there for.
Austin's telephone number?
Yeah.
But I guess so. This brings up the fact that I was gonna first mention is, I think this is the first time we've seen another inker on Simonson's work.
What'd you think of that?
I
What do
did
you think of his
see.
work on it?
I did not see too big a difference. There were some parts where like I'm like, whoa, that's kind of like a weird. That doesn't look like Simonson. There was like a face, like Thor's face. It kind of looked like Rob Liefeld face.
Ooh, let's talk about that when we get to it. I keep looking at the work and like it immediately struck me it wasn't Simonson, but it's not that far off, right?
No, like
Like
the
this really
first.
isn't a Simonson Thor face, I don't think.
Well, I was looking in the beginning, the first few pages, and they look Simonson-ish. So like the first two pages, if you go back, I don't know, like that looks like a Simonson, but it's not super detailed, so you don't know.
Yeah, we can't see it. We can't see it at the original size. But like this page, yeah, absolutely. I love the grandeur he brings to Asgard.
Now this issue is not part of the Simonson Artist Edition, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that one,
I have to
the
go pull
Beta
that
Ray
back
Bill
up.
one, the Beta Ray Bill. So I only have the return of Beta. No, I have the original. I don't have the return. Yeah, yeah, and that one goes through the Beta Ray Bill story, I think.
We should do an episode just on that if we can figure out how to display those pages.
But yeah, so this one, I like the first two pages. I don't really see too much, and the story is just what is Odin is lamenting his son not being there. He needs him.
Is it his son or is it this Viking who we meet later in the issue?
Oh, right, you're right. That could potentially, yeah, I don't know.
Because he's saying, ever waiting for the last hero who was never chosen. Took me till my third reading to pick up on that.
Ah, interesting, interesting. I thought it was
Long have we
Thor.
waited in vain to celebrate his arrival. So I think there's a connection between the Viking and Odin's missing that person in that chair,
Oh, got it. Okay, interesting.
which then like somehow implies something about like how the gods are connected to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe the Viking sensed Odin thinking about him or something and sent
Mm-hmm.
his messages out to Thor.
Got it. Okay.
That's my interpretation anyway.
That's the message. So throughout this issue, and even the last one, Thor's been getting a message from someone, I guess from Antarctica.
Right.
Yeah.
Love that sequence. So we go from Asgard back to New York. Again, this looks really a lot like Simonson, just maybe a tiny bit more
Yeah.
slick.
Maybe, yeah. I don't really know Terry Austin's inking too well. I mean, I'm familiar with John Burns' drawings, and it is a little bit different. Although the guy, the doctor or the nurse or whatever, that guy looks a little different than Simonson. Simonson is a lot more blocky usually, and I feel like Terry Austin is more, I guess, the edges are a little bit rounded out. They're not as cool. They're not the signature Simonson that you see, like the blocky one. It's more kind of like softer, where like I see a lot of like image creators drawings. Maybe they were just influenced by Terry Austin quite a bit.
Probably because I mean, after he inked Byrne for so many years on X-Men, he was kind of that like the definitive inker for the 1980s,
Yeah.
at least in the early 80s.
Mhm. There isn't much to these next few pages. It's just that he just the lady that he saved, the wicked lady he saved is just plotting and nothing much. I
Yeah,
didn't
we
really.
see her a little later in the issue and then in the next issue
So
for
that
sure.
panel one, that looks a lot like um
This
Todd
panel one or the
McFarlane. No, no, sorry, the next page that we were at. Looks like Todd McFarlane drawing a little bit.
oh,
Todd McFarlane face.
huh.
So maybe Terry Austin, those guys were influenced by Terry Austin a little bit.
I think you're right. I think you're right about that. There's no way they couldn't have been. I
And
really see Austin in that small panel where the lightning's striking. That's him softening Simonson for sure. The way he draws those like diagonal lines from the lightning bolt, that feels very much like the way he inked John Byrne.
mm-hmm.
And now that I think about it, I can see it also in the previous panel. You're right, it's a lot of softening. It's a lot of kind of adding texture that Simonson wouldn't have added in the same way. Like it's like in the folds of the jeans he's wearing or the work pants he's wearing. There's just something in the like the thinness of the lines that
Yeah,
Simon never quite did in the same way.
yeah. I feel like he's taking a lot of the Kirbyisms out of Walt Simonson
Oh,
sometimes. Not the foreshortening, but rather like the faces and the bodies.
how do you see that? How do you see it? Like because it's softening up the images?
They're just not blocky. Like that first page, the first two pages, the second page, you'll see like big old like big hips, like big fat hips on Ahuden. Nice badonkadonk. But then these new characters are more like rounded out, kind of slimmer looking.
Yeah, I see what you're saying because Odin there in the last panel, he's a big blocky dude.
Yeah. Whereas then if you go to the page that you just left, or even a little bit further, two pages down, one more, like that's kind of like a Thor that's really softened up and like is more toned.
You're right. He's not like this enormous blocky guy. He's got great muscles. Like if you saw this guy at the gym, you'd be amazed. But he doesn't have like the massive muscles that someone like Kirby would give him sometimes, or some of the other
What's
artists
on
too.
And then we hear that dude, I guess the previous page we haven't talked about, but that evil guy kills the ravens that Odin sent.
Hmm.
I wasn't expecting that. I think what's interesting is that the ravens are from the dark and they're the good guys, and this guy is from the light and he's the bad guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
not the usual what you would expect.
I got tiny little Hellboy vibes from it.
Oh, that's funny.
The even the Mignola style feels like it's a little bit in this too. You see what I mean? Maybe it's
Yeah.
the glove.
You know,
The glove
speaking
with the
of Manoa, I'll say two things. We probably this is not about Manoa, but he drew two backups of Thor that are amazing.
Mignola.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I think they're
Oh,
backups to a Hulk. I'm not sure. I'm
oh
not sure
wow!
where they're at, but they're amazing. I have them somewhere.
You got to tell me where those are.
They're like basically early Hellboy style.
Oh, I love that stuff so much.
Like they're Hellboy, like this guy that this is like a Hellboy character. Imagine it drawn by Mignola. Yeah, anyways, well, maybe we can talk about that issue sometime in the future.
Heck, if you're watching the video of this and Amir tells me where to find it, or I can find it, I'll insert it in here. You might be looking at it right now. The storytelling on this page is so good. I was noticing you really never see Thor's face. Maybe in that one panel on the right side of the page, but we pretty much are like always over Thor's shoulder. And we're on this journey with him,
And
and
he is
it's a
and
cool use of blackout too, a silhouette.
oh yeah, yeah, and he is going to Antarctica, right?
I'm not sure it's like it's supposed to be it, but it feels like it's where Kazar lived
Mm-hmm.
in the jungle, inside of the center of the earth. And it's cool too because like it's connecting Thor to another mythology, right? It's that like who's the guy who wrote Journey to the Center of the Earth? Jules Verne, and all those kind of lost world sorts of stories that Edgar Rice Burroughs used to write. And so it's like connecting this god to this other sort of adventure story, connecting him to history. It's like this really cool kind of recursive feel to it, where it just feels like Simonson's just like pulling all his influences together. I think that's exciting. And then he lands, and yeah, what do you think of that face down on the bottom there, too?
That's it. That's the Rob Liefeld.
Yeah, I was wondering if that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, that's a Rob Liefeld drawing. Look,
And I gotta say, there like some of these panels, especially like the over the shoulder shot, actually feels like the way Austin inked John Byrne.
hmm,
Just a
maybe that's
little lighter, a little more like cartoony.
mhm.
If you look at Byrne's Avengers run, this is not that different from the style he used there. I mean, Austin didn't ink him there, but there's a feel to that, just in the way like he uses like he does the whole tunic that Thor's wearing in all black. Not
Mhm.
sure we've seen that much from Simonson, but the Liefeld page is that bit of face. Does that take away from it for you?
It did. It's not very consistent with the rest of the way Thor looks like. I like that scene though, where he's like tasting. There's still some food in there. And he's like, let me taste it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other is it's got like a little bit of an Indiana Jones feel to it also.
Yeah, and so I guess just to kind of follow along the story, he's trying to find that sound, that voice that's calling out to him, and he comes upon the burial ground, but there is someone there because there's some leftover food.
Yeah. The gravestones all in circles.
Hmm.
I never knew that was a thing.
That's just like the Stonehenge.
Yeah. They reminded me so much of that kind of thing. And that portal on the bottom panel, that's so Walt Simonson. That's got his fingerprints all over it. This is the
All right.
page that remind me a bit of Indiana Jones. When he's escaping the vault where he steals the gold or whatever in the first movie.
Mm-hmm. And I like how it cuts away in the next page. You don't know. It's um like a you don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, what'd you think of these two pages?
I didn't know who Carnilla was. I looked up Carnilla, and she's this villain who's romantically involved, or oh, maybe it's a spoiler. Will end up being involved and with Balder. It's interesting, it's just Walt Simonson throwing a bunch of stuff up in the wall, and then later on we'll come back to it, and that's how he'll complete like he'll finish up a complete story with like a lot of storylines going on at the same time. So I like it. I mean, we've talked about before. He's using a storytelling mechanism to like for serials to like come back to it.
Yeah, it's a really nice way to set up the future story. And it's building on the crisis of conscience Baldur's been having. Feel the way they talk to it feels like these are people, these are gods, creatures who've known each other for a really long time.
Hmm. I like the way it's written, like, and I like it how she's all like, well, he's like, he calls her evil. He's all like, well, you're seductive and evil, and that's not what I want to be involved in. And she's all like, well, how do you know evil? You've always been a good guy that even the gods are envious of.
Hmm.
He's like, well, I spent time in Hela. I saw all that, all the people I killed. So it's a really good story. I like it.
And they're like really relating to each other too. She's
Mhm,
listening to him. She respects him. She loves him. You can feel it in the way you
mhm,
can see it in the second panel. Really nice. This is a case where Austin's Inks really do a nice job over Simonson.
mhm.
And you can feel it in the way they talk to each other too. It's a lesson I have yet to learn. Then you may learn it soon. It's like I can totally imagine people have known each other for many years having that conversation.
It's really,
Kind of a sweet moment, I think.
yeah, it's really interesting the way Simonson draws Balder because he's supposed to be a handsome, like dashing guy, somebody that even Thor looks up to, right? And here he's just like, an old, probably some guy who would read this issue now, not like me, just let himself go.
You can't see any, he's in those loose fitting clothes too. So you
Yeah,
don't have any idea of who he is underneath them.
yeah,
He's just lost staring at the fire.
yeah.
And think about what a great contrast this is, right? We got this, like you were saying a minute ago, we got this dramatic moment, and then we get ticking way down.
Hmm. And now we're way back up the next page.
Then way back up again.
My blood pressure.
Back,
Good thing this is only for kids who don't have problems with blood pressure.
are you feeling your age today, Amir?
A little bit. Next week's my birthday.
That's right. I
Uh-huh.
forgot. More Indiana Jones, more really fun Austin Inks over Simonson. This is where he really shines, I think. You got
Mhm.
the energy that I'm not sure Walt brought in the same way. Like the way he's using like a sideways pencil or whatever in panel 4, show the falling rocks. That's a little bit of Austin adding some flair to things.
Oh, okay. I see a lot of inks there. I usually don't notice them like this. It's like really thick inks.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's showier. But I think it works really well.
That is incredible. That's a lot of thick inks. You don't really see it. I almost think like, is this page done smaller so that when you print it up big like this, it doesn't look as good?
Yeah, I wonder, but I mean the
I mean, I'm
page I
not
was
saying.
showing, it looked like 1.5 up.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't look as good, but it's just interesting how it's not as fine.
Yeah, you're right. Uh, does his pose in that middle panel look weird to you?
Not really, no.
Okay. Maybe
Oh, the middle panel, panel 2?
the panel 4.
No, no.
Okay. Just wondering. Nice how he uses these small panels too to
Mhm.
accentuate everything.
It's good action, really good storytelling.
I agree. This is where like the ability of comics to have like a single frame really like accentuates how much he's going through and how tough Thor really is.
And it's totally like Indiana Jones. He's like going through the gauntlet.
Yeah,
Really
100%.
well done. Really well done.
And then
Just imagine there was a time where there were special effects were not as good as they are now, and this stuff looked incredible to people.
in some ways I'd say special effects were better then, but that's a different conversation. I was just watching 2001: A Space Odyssey,
Mm,
and that movie still looks like it's state of the art even now, even though it's 50 years old, almost 60 years old now. And
mm.
then we see the guy. Viking guy. Again, his armor looks completely Simonson-esque. I wonder if
Yeah,
Simonson thinks some of this stuff,
perhaps, yeah. He looks very formidable.
doesn't he?
Mhm.
I love how he's got all the weird horns and design on his helmet too. It feels very Jack Kirby without having too much Kirby on it. And by
That
the
that spear comes right out of the panel.
yeah, oh yeah, good call out. It's almost like it crosses itself too
Mhm.
between panels 1 and 2, and then it's right in front of panel 3. Really makes you feel the threat.
Yeah.
By the gods, I cannot believe it. And of course, we have to cut away again.
I'm not a fan of this storyline. I'm tired of the Godzilla. But
Oh,
I'm
then you're
sure
not going to
it'll
enjoy
pay off.
next issue.
It'll pay off.
Yeah, I like the Godzilla. Okay.
It's all right.
I love his teeth. I was just like, I got
No, no,
hypnotized by
no.
his teeth at
I
one
love the
point.
drawing. I'm just saying the storyline of him fighting Godzilla, but it is a kid's comic book. I have to forget. I have to remember. I mean, I forget.
Dude, why are you feeling so old today?
I'm not feeling old. I'm just saying it's kind of boring to
The
watch Godzilla fight.
Lorelei's got a nice apartment. Definitely lots of drawers in her kitchen.
Mhm.
Lots of cabinet space, which is good because she seems like she's got some certain implements she needs. And it's a good thing she lives in New York so she can buy an amazing bowl like that one. You know, this is a woman who's got her plans.
You know, one thing I forgot to mention, Thor took out his Mjolnir was in his knapsack.
Oh, that's right.
He's all like, "Let me take my Mjolnir out of my knapsack." Sorry, I just needed to mention that because
Way back in
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, Lorelei. I don't even think she's a bad person. I think she just has a crush on Thor, if I'm not mistaken.
We'll find out. Maybe she was, yeah. She's just doing it out of love. It's a happening apartment there. The stovetop. The
Nice.
vent's not the right size, but well, we'll see. And then finally we get the revelation.
Old man Viking.
Really nice face there in panel 2. That's an aged face
Mhm.
with the eyebrows and being all bushy and stuff. And Thor whipping the hammer. This is just such a beautiful page, like I was just showing. I really think it looks better in black and white. What do you think of the mythologizing here?
Yeah, I like it. It's how they ended up here and how he's the last one of the Vikings. It's cool.
The storytelling is wonderful, how we get the different views of the Viking ship.
Mm.
It just feels so like so dramatic. It's a really nice section here. And the old man begs for death.
Nope, your life is mine, old man.
Your life is mine. And we'll find out in the next issue what that means. Your life is mine.
Mhm.
Did you look ahead?
I did a little bit. A little bit.
Okay. I was surprised the story went the direction it went in.